June 3rd, the Ukrainian armed forces released a video of an underwater explosion of one of Russia's most guarded facilities, Putin's pride and joy, the Crimean Bridge. Second massive blow to Russian security in just 3 days. The alleged explosion was preceded by the biggest attack on Russia's strategic nuclear missile carriers. Dozens of planes were lost and billions of dollars of damages were caused. Those were big booms, but the real explosion, the one that can shake the entire foundation of the Kremlin, is just the beginning. The real story is happening inside the Kremlin right now. Finger pointing, the blame game, fury, and fear. This is the final stage of Putin's regime, and there are more and more signs appear every day. By the way, where has Vladimir Putin vanished to in the last couple days anyway? Howdy everyone, my name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where living in today's Russia is explained, where living in usual Russian is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, you will not find any BS, lies, or propaganda on this channel. You will find only truth, common sense, and logic, and some emotions too, because, hey, I'm a human being after all. My today's story is much bigger than Crimean Bridge getting hit. It's about the war that is intensifying inside Putin's regime, inside the very cradle of Vladimir Putin. Before I get to that story, let me briefly tell you what happened in Crimea today. Early in the morning, a few Telegram channels started reporting an underwater explosion at one of the pillars of the foundation of the Crimean Bridge. So I showed you that already. Now, when something big as this explodes, in the following hour or so, there's usually an informational vacuum exists. Big media usually put reporting on pause because they need guidelines. They are afraid to make a mistake and to talk about event in a way unfavorable for the Kremlin. So they wait. Smaller Telegram channels, Z reporters, and just regular news channels, local channels, Vaincore, they usually start bombarding everyone with information right away because they are in a race, informational race. The first channel usually gets more subscribers. In an hour or so after such event, the big media outlets receive guidelines, what they can and cannot talk about, and start using their big guns, the TV, the internet media, the newspapers, and Telegram channels and such continue to report until they are warned, and it usually happens within a day. Today was different. This schema that I just told you, that's exactly what happened on June 1st. That's how the informational coverage happened in Russia. First, there was a vacuum, a slew of information from the smaller channels, small media, local media, and nothing from the big boys. And then after the guidelines were received, they started talking. Now, today was absolutely different. the Crimean Bridge explosion video was released by the Ukrainian armed forces and a statement was made. In the statement, it was said that a part of the operation that lasted several months, Ukrainian agents mined the pillars of the Crimean Bridge and activated the first explosive device with a capacity of about 1,100 kilograms of TNT early in the morning, about 4 in the morning. Russian media kept silent, taking a pause until an official statement from Russian officials arrived. Well, it never arrived. They kept silent. No, I take it. They were afraid of being accused of spreading fakes. Meanwhile, the bridge management closed the bridge at 6 a.m. and reopened it at 9 a.m. That's the official information coming from the bridge Telegram channel. That's how they inform drivers who approach the bridge. Traffic jams appeared on both sides of the bridge as soon as they closed Crimea Bridge. Usually, a good amount of cars are stuck on both sides, and then you can clearly see it on online maps marked in red. So, traffic jams appeared, but albeit they not big ones. Then they closed the bridge in the afternoon, and they reopened it in the evening again. And this is the proof. That's a screenshot of the Telegram channel. And also there was a closure in the morning. Russian authorities kept silent as if nothing happened. They didn't make any official statements on the Crimea Bridge bombing. Regional Crimea authorities got excited though. They released a statement that there was an enemy activity in the Black Sea around Crimea and they grounded all marine transport. Well, I guess they docked all marine transport. This is what the announcement that came, this is how it looked like, that came from the authorities of Crimea. Meanwhile, Russian propaganda in the late afternoon started spreading information that no accidents were recorded in Crimea Bridge, on Crimea Bridge on June 3rd. They finally received the guidelines. The big boys started using their big guns. This is a Moskovsky Komsomolets, mk.ru. That's a propaganda, a very large newspaper and an online resource. And this is the official stand of the Russian state. They are acting as if nothing extraordinary happened. Now, I personally tend to believe that there was an attempt to blow up the bridge today. I base my opinion on the facts that, first of all, the bridge was closed for extended periods of time twice today. And that just doesn't happen without a good reason. And the second, the Crimean authorities got excited and docked all marine traffic. And then they were saying of the enemy activities in the region in the Black Sea. And if there was nothing, they wouldn't have said anything, okay? So the fact that a statement came from the local authorities tells us volume. Now, I tend to believe that there was some kind of attempt. Was it just like in Ukrainian armed forces video? That I don't know, cannot tell you. But something happened at the Crimean Bridge. But now, there is a much bigger picture to this. Before telling it to you, I would like to take this opportunity to have a sip of this wonderful English breakfast tea. That's my favorite drink. And I would like to thank you everyone who's a part of Inside Russia community. Thank you for watching, for liking, for commenting, interacting. Thank you for your messages, wishes of well-being. Thank you for your concerns, emails. Thank you for the coffees that you bought me at buymecoffee.com, for PayPal, for Patreon. I really appreciate your support. That I'm demonetized, so that's the only way that I exist these days. Thank you for praying along with me, and thank you for your love. I give you a promise one more time that despite being demonetized, despite getting zilch from these videos, I stand for the truth. I stand against Russian government. I stand for peace. And I will continue telling you the transformation that Russia is going through. You have my word on that. Monetized or demonetized, doesn't matter. I will continue. Thank you so much. Now back to the message. There is a bigger threat to Russia, well, really to Putin's regime, a bigger threat than destroying the planes or the bridge. Putin's regime appears to be very solid now, very stable. And one of the cornerstones of the stability of this foundation, enormous foundation, is the nuclear triad, controlled by Putin himself, through the armed forces, of course. It consists of land-based intercontinental missiles, sea-based missiles, and air-based delivery missiles. That's why it's called Triad. The Triad is Russia's most guarded network of facilities, the most secure system, and the most secret system after Putin's bunker. Or so we thought. Same goes for Crimean Bridge. It's Putin's pride and joy. It's one of the most, well, probably the most guarded non-military facility in the entire Russia. The attacks that happened on the 1st of June, that wiped out dozens of strategical bombers, nuclear bombers, and possibly on the 3rd of June, showed us that the Triad is vulnerable. It's not that secure, and it's not that guarded. There was a myth, an incredible myth of invincibility of the Triad. No matter what, Russia will always defend itself. Well, how can it defend itself if this happens? Boom. It's not protected well enough. Now we know. The videos show us. It can be damaged or destroyed completely. If we look at the map of the attacks, they happened in very different regions of Russia. In the north, in the far east. The north is always considered the North Pole umbrella of Russia. So Russia is protected from the north, from all the attacks. In the east, hugely important base that was bombed, because that base is facing China, the USA, and Japan, Russian Pacific region. Russian most secured facilities and most secured pieces of machines can be destroyed by a small number of low-tech drones. And those drones are very low-tech compared to anti-air defense systems by Panzer, by S-300, S-400, by all the raiders, by the nuclear missiles, by those planes that carry nuclear missiles. That's high tech. These drones, they're relatively low tech, and 117 drones can wipe out almost a third of one part of Russia's nuclear triad. And the biggest thing, the drones didn't come from Ukraine. Russian born and bred, they came from inside Russia, not outside, not Ukraine, not other countries, from the inside. They were bought, they were assembled, they were transported, and they were delivered, and they were controlled from inside Russia. Moreover, the entire operation was planned and carried out. The warehouse was right next to one of local KGB headquarters. And all security forces in Russia failed miserably. The KGB failed to monitor, to detect, and to bust this operation. Russian armed forces failed to protect their own bases, their own planes. And this, like we just learned, was no small attack. It was huge. China and the USA are watching. This attack, it's not just a local event in the war between Russia and Ukraine. This shifts the balance of nuclear powers completely. It has showed the biggest competitors of Russia, those with nuclear weapons, that Russian nuclear weapons are very vulnerable, okay? And like I said, there was a myth before that it was invincible. Well, not any longer. And everyone in Russia is outraged, from small Z bloggers to the very top. I mean, I showed you yesterday. Look at this guy right here.
Владимир Владимирович, докладываю установку голосом. Наши стратегии, 95-е, 22-е.
I enjoy watching this guy.
Будут, переговоры. Я так чувствую, что они вам вкручивают в ухо. Нам не нужны никакие переговоры. Нам дали сегодня...
I don't know how about you folks, but
Нам дали сегодня
I watch him over and over again.
Они показали свою силу, они показали свою стратегию, что они работают. Они плюнули, нам очередной раз в лицо. Плюнули наши разведки, в рот им дали, потому что мы не работаем.
I don't think that English translation is needed. I think that you understand everything that the guy is saying. And this message is directed to Vladimir Putin, to the commander-in-chief. Now, enough of this guy, right? All are incredibly angry. And guess what? They're not angry at Ukrainians. At least most are not angry at Ukrainians. They are angry at Russian armed forces for failing to protect own assets. They're angry at the KGB for failing to identify and arrest and prevent this act. They are outraged by how Russian armed forces have been organized and have been executing orders. This guy was praising Ukrainians, saying that they showed courage, they showed strategy, and it's the Russian side who soiled their pants. Okay? And we're just seeing small guys everywhere in Russia, at least yesterday, day before yesterday, outraged just like this fella, okay? Just like this guy. But guess what? This guy, we're just seeing him, okay? There are others much more important and much bigger people than this guy. They are outraged, and Putin is also outraged. With everyone, with his servants, with the KGB, with the armed forces, with the federal police, and the federal police also took part in this, a negative part in this situation. And guess what? Someone is going to pay for that. And now, as we speak, a major finger pointing is happening in the Kremlin. The army is trying to blame the KGB, and vice versa. The KGB is trying to blame the army. And the thing is, they're both right, because they both failed. They both soiled their pants. This fight will draw attention away from Ukraine to internal struggle, power struggle, to internal fighting. And that's very, extremely good for Ukraine. Now, look what already happened today. The KGB throws first punch, claiming innocence, pointing finger at Russia's armed forces. Now, this is inside. This has not been released, but this actually happened already today. The KGB reported on the results of special operation in Chelyabinsk in the wake of massive FPV drone attacks on military airfields. Thus, the Directorate for the Protection of the Constitutional Order and the Fight Against Terrorism assured that the KGB prevented terrorist attacks by identifying, locating, and following a tip from ASINT investigators. That's I showed the maps of those fellas. They are located outside Russia. They're foreign. They're Western based. And they were just giving satellite images, unclassified satellite images of the bases. So the KGB used them, the very same pictures that I showed you in yesterday's stream. Pictures of a warehouse where these drones were assembled inside the KGB. They're called the Trojan horses. That where were assembled, and the KGB immediately seized the remnants of the explosives and fuses there. The criminal case was initiated only on June 2nd in the investigative department of Chelyabinsk department of the KGB. In the document, in an internal document, as in all materials, only unidentified persons in the group appear. There are no official detainees. The warehouse owner, who was renting his warehouse, has been interrogated voluntarily for 2 days in a row. 2 people were put on the operational wanted list, local resident Artem Timofeyev and his wife Ekaterina. The man is from Zhytomyr, and in 2018 he received Russian citizenship. It is noteworthy that the criminal case, which was initiated in Chelyabinsk, has the qualification of preparation for a crime and attempted crime. And there's not one single word about the FPV drone attacks that happened on June 1st. And it turns out that the KGB prevented impeding terrorist attack. Can you imagine that? Now, that is the first punch of the blame game. And that's going to be a lot of punches from both of sides, from the KGB and from the army. Okay? And that's going to be a huge existential fight. Because, like I said earlier today, what happened was not a small thing. It's a huge deal that has shifted the balance of nuclear powers somewhat. And Putin will want blood. Putin will want to find and prosecute the responsible ones. And his anger comes in many different forms. In form of people getting arrested, in form of people dying unexpectedly, in form of people flying out of the windows, in different forms, okay? And we are now seeing probably the biggest fight between the Russian armed forces and the KGB. Now, they've never been friends. Their rivalry comes from the USSR. They were at Triad. The balance of power of the USSR consisted of the army, the KGB, and the federal police. And Politburo was in the center of power. And Politburo made sure that none of these three departments, services, agencies got too powerful. Because if they got too powerful, or two agencies would join forces, then they would just overtake Politburo and seize absolute power in the country. So Politburo always made sure that all three agencies were in permanent war. In Russia, it's a similar situation, only it's not a triangle. It's just two sides. Because the federal police is so weak and so low, it's not a force in today's Russia. The forces are two, the KGB and the army. And Vladimir Putin is on the side of the KGB. He's former KGB officer. Well, they say that there are never former officers of the service. So he has been taking the part of the KGB, but we'll see what happens this time. I have always said that the victory for Ukraine will come not from the front lines, not from Ukraine, but from inside Russia. From the fight of the power clans, from the conflicts, from the war, internal war, those bulldogs fighting underneath the carpet. And until now, I didn't know how the victory for Ukraine would come. Now I know. I know. We are seeing the start of this huge fight. We are seeing how these two most powerful forces in Russia are trying to kill each other. And by the way, army is a force much more powerful than the KGB. Okay, KGB is the secret police, and it does have more control over Russia and Russians now. It does control somewhat the armed forces, but if we look at the sheer power, the armed forces are just unmatched. And we could see a glimpse of what can happen from in June of 2023, when a small private army, just 5,000 fighters, led by Putin's cook Yevgeny Prigozhin, announced the crusade on Moscow and decided to topple Putin. And they captured 1 million people city of Rostov-on-Don, and they moved on to Moscow. And guess what? The army could have crushed ЧВК Wagner. They could have bombed, they could have thrown tanks, but the army was standing there and just turning away, looking to the other side. They let Prigozhin march from Rostov to near Moscow, and that's 700 kilometers, about 500 miles, in mere hours. Army is the most powerful force. Sergei Shoigu, when he was the Minister of Defense, held power second to Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin replaced Shoigu with a nobody. His last name is Belousov. Not an officer, never served in the army, just for this reason. So the army generals don't get too smart and don't conspire. Okay, Vladimir Putin is trying to balance the army and the KGB. But I know now how the demise of Putin will be, where it will come from. Putin will simply lose control by overestimating his abilities to be the judge, the arbiter, to be the middleman between the KGB and the army. He will make a mistake. Now the stakes are rising because there's a huge investigation, there's a huge blame game, lots of fear, and everyone starts throwing punches. And this isn't just a power struggle like it used to be in the rich, peaceful years in Russia. Okay, where the stakes were not as high. The stakes were probably just a job, you could get fired. Now the stakes are much higher. It's the existential fight. It's the war until one of the agencies dies. We're seeing the final chapter. It has started. I don't know for how long it will be going on. It could be for quite some time, for even a couple of few years. This is it. This is the final chapter. Whoever wins at the end, the regime will be changed. Thank you so very much for the message. I invite everyone to join me in a live stream chat. This is my most favorite part of any live stream where I try to answer questions. Thank you, friends. And before I turn the live stream chat on, I would like to remind you that every day for patrons of Inside Russia, I post 9 news that I find important with my commentaries and analysis. I feel that one live stream a day is not enough to stay on top of everything that is going on in Russia because there are so many news that come every day. So 9 most important ones get posted on Patreon of Inside Russia. And I also do daily snippets, more than a news, less than a live stream. So if you want to stay on top of things, everything Russia, then you know where to look. Consider giving it a try. And I'm turning the live stream chat on. Please, first of all, at this point, if you haven't liked this message, please do me a favor and like it. It allows me to serve the message to more people. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And the live stream chat is on. I invite everyone to join and ask your questions. If you're here for the first time, please know that this community is the best on internet because there is the best moderation team. Lorna, Mammy S, Bob, Mammy K, Bob S, Harry Potnin, Amir Fazad are the best moderators there are, great friends, and they are the reason this chat is civil and a pleasant environment. So thank you so much. Respect each other, no insults, and no discussion of US politics, as usual. And if you want me to see your message or question easier, don't forget to put it in all caps and put Inside Russia after @ so I see your message highlighted in orange. And if I don't answer your message or question, then it means that it doesn't mean that I ignore you. It means there's just so many messages and I missed it. So keep on posting. Thank you so very much. Let me just do the last thing. I open live stream chat in a pop-up message, pop-up window, and here I am. Thank you, friends. Thank you for coming. The usual suspects, the mods, Lorna, Harry. Who else is today? Bob. Thank you, friends. Amir. No Amir. Everyone else is in our hearts. Baker Stock. Lilithian Leitmotiv. Thank you so much. Kamo. Ukraine has showed what she wanted to show. How many more undiscovered houses are there all over Russia? I don't know. Time will tell. But nothing would surprise me now. Tom W, good to see you. Again, I reply to those messages that I see. They're in all caps or highlighted in orange. So, Mr. Kaliskian from the Windy City. Ronnie, hello. I see that a few people bought me coffees. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. I saw a message from PayPal. Someone sent some money on PayPal. I appreciate it, friends. Shows me that you value my messages and you like what I do. So that's very inspiring. Thank you very much. Sam the Legend K, long time no see. Or I was just missing your messages. Quite a few people today, I see. 8,800, that's unusual. We usually have 4,000, 5,000, 3,000, something like that. Hot topic. I want you to remember when I said that summer is going to be a hot one. It's turning out to be very hot summer. June 1st, the attack. June 3rd, the alleged attack. Well, I believe there was an attack. The evidence is only indirect, okay? Deborah from sunny California, sending my love to California, one of the most favorite places. Well, I've been to California quite a few times. Went to school in Davis in Northern California. Bogdan, test software. Could you monitor the lorry's traffic jams? Yes, I can, and I did. There was nothing major in the Crimea, and right before the live stream, I checked, all green, just red just before the bridge. But they thoroughly check all cars that get on the bridge on both sides. So it's usually a little bit like a few hundred yards of yellow color of traffic means it's a slow traffic, not full stop. So yes, I do monitor anywhere in Russia I can, and you can also go to Yandex Maps and you turn on traffic and you will see everything you want to see. Bradley Kaiser, thank you so much. Was Putin cloned or something? Internet person, I don't think he was cloned. Average L, thank you for coming. You have been correct about the events in Russia, but Putin still is there. How long can the struggle in the Siloviki last? There was a struggle here in Uzbekistan back in early 2000s. It lasted for 7 years, and the federal police guy lost to the KGB guy. So it was a long struggle. I don't know how long. Well, I've said many times. I don't know the details. I don't know how exactly it folded out, but I see the direction it's going, and no one can tell you how long Putin is going to be in power. No one can tell you how long the struggle in the Siloviki lasts. But this is not a struggle any longer. It's a war, existential war. Putin wants blood, and they're going to be finger pointing to each other. And there will be blood. And I think the blood will be soon. I'm keeping my eyes open. We'll see what happens. It's just if Putin pisses the generals too much, okay? You never know what generals might do. And that's a real threat. And then imagine all that attention, all that energy, all the thinking that they do is now away from Ukraine. Forget about Ukraine. We don't need it. We need to save our butts. Okay? We need to save ourselves. This is what they're thinking about. Mel Nell, hello, hello. Richard Warner, Tormo, howdy. Mikhail Lindros, do you think Zelensky is aware of the fight of power? Mikhail, judging from the latest developments, I think that the Ukrainian intelligence is aware of everything. It's much smarter than previously thought and much more skilled. If they pull out, they executed the operation like spiderweb. Whew, boy, I don't even know where their limits are. Of course he's aware. Wouldn't surprise me that if he would be interfering, well, trying to make deals with some inside. By the way, Putin is thinking this right now. I didn't mention it in the live stream. What if it's an inside job? What if it's not just the Ukrainians, but what if they had a help from the military, from the police, from Rosgvardia, from KGB? What if one of the agencies wants to frame another agency to take control, to weaken the other agency? Because if one agency becomes too big and too powerful, Putin is kaput immediately. That agency will take care of him immediately, will take power away from Putin. That's the goal of the game. That's the prize. Okay. So Putin is very worried. He's outraged. He's scared at the same time. Pinda the Peanut, hello, hello. Paul Wright, David Porter, fantastic to see you. We keep on praying for you, your family, and everyone in Chernovtsi. Sounds like things might be moving in Ukraine's direction. Thanks for all you do. Well, David, remember you came onto the channel when things weren't looking so good, and you were writing us about that Russia was advancing, and there were lots of bombings, and it appeared that there was no light at the end of the tunnel. Well, I think there's light now. Scott Nesbitt, howdy. Carlos from Portugal. On Russia, what is the mood in the population in general? I'm gonna do a daily snippet on the mood of Russians, either today or tomorrow. One of the snippets coming up, because this is very, very important. So if you want to follow the snippets, consider joining Patreon. That's not a lot of money at all. The lowest tier gets you access to everything. It's $3. And I let people to decide how much they want to contribute, either $3 or $10 or $25. It's up to you. But anyway, good question. I'll definitely do a snippet on that. It will be available on Patreon of Inside Russia. Linian, ahoy. You are from Czech Republic, I take it. Opinion on railway bombings in Russia. They were 2 bombings on the 1st of June. Not bombings, okay? It's unclear what it is. It could well be just Russian bridges fell. Remember, I've been telling everyone about how poor of a state Russian infrastructure is in. Well, bridges, railroad bridges, and car bridges are a part of infrastructure. They need maintenance. And if money is stolen and whatever is not stolen thrown into the war, they don't care about bridges. It's not the only bridges that fell. Bridges in Russia fall every single week or perhaps couple weeks. I will come up in Friday news report. I'll come up with a number of bridges that fell just before this happened. Now, in Bryansk, the bridges, first of all, they fell onto a train. That usually doesn't happen. And one of the bridges, and while a large truck was on top of it. Now, the first reaction was, of course, it's the Ukrainians. That's the bombing, and the investigative committee classified it as an act of terrorism, a bombing, and then it changed the formulation, it changed the sentence. It got rid of the terrorist act, and it said, well, just collapse of the bridge. And now they've changed it to something else. Recently, I haven't seen it yet, but it tells me that they're not sure whatsoever that's Ukrainians behind it, okay? So they don't know what it is yet. And I don't know also. I've concentrated on the bombings of the Crimea Bridge, the alleged bombing and the bombings of the planes. I will investigate the collapse of the bridges further when I have a little bit of more information. Hey, want to hear the news? I'm going to do a news update on Friday, but here's the news for you. Second province in Russia decreased the sign-up bonus for signing the military contract. Bashkortostan. And get the size of the decrease. 1.6 million rubles before, now 1.0 million rubles. Huh? Does it tell you anything? Tells me volumes. So please come back on Friday. I will have quite a conversation about that. Average L, can you say some things that the angry Russians said between all swearings? Was he mad on Putin, the army, or alien rats? He was not angry on Putin. He was telling it. He was sending a message to Putin. You know what? Let me translate it to you. Let me translate it.
Стратегии, 95-е, 22-е. Это к тому, что завтра будут,
So, dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, hang on one second. Vladimir Vladimirovich, I have this sound some kind of replicating itself. Okay. Now, so this guy is Z Vainkour, and he is reporting to Vladimir Putin. He says, Dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, I'm reporting it that we are fudged.
наши стратегии, 95-е,
Our strategical bombers, but beep,
22-е.
222, 295.
Это к тому, что завтра будут, переговоры.
And then we're talking about the negotiations tomorrow.
Я так чувствую, что они вам вкручивают в ухо.
And I believe that they're putting a penis into your ear, meaning your generals and your subordinates, and this is what they're doing. And of course, he didn't say it, different words.
Нам не нужны никакие переговоры. Нам дали сегодня...
They performed a sexual act on us in a very rude way today.
Нам дали сегодня зайчику в Иркутске.
Blah, blah,
Они
blah, blah.
показали свою силу. Они
They, Ukrainians, showed their strength.
показали свою стратегию.
They showed their strategy.
Что они работают.
They showed that they're really working.
Плюнули нам очередной раз в лицо.
They spat in our face one more time.
Плюнули наши разведки.
They spat into the face of our intelligence, recognizance. They performed a very crude sexual act on our recognizance.
Потому что мы не работаем.
Because we're simply not working. We're not working.
Уже народ все понимает.
And even regular people already understand everything.
Неужели в разведке, или что где-либо не понимаешь?
And in recognizance, or in other services, don't they understand what's going on?
Кто нас продают,
That we are being sold,
предают. Наши парни идут
we're being betrayed.
мыслями, что
Our children, our boys or men are going like slaughtered in the meat storms. FPV drones, FPV, I'm outraged, FPV drones.
Еще раз скажу.
Say it again, FPV drones.
FPV. Я выложу
It's like, it's nothing, you know, FPV drone you can buy at the store.
фото из этой фуры. Все дно заложено ими.
The entire,
Нам показали, что мы
you know, this packed with FPV drones.
беспомощны.
They showed that we are absolutely defenseless and helpless. You know, that's pretty much what he was saying. And I can't really argue with him, you know, to the every last word. Viking, the Russians I have spoken to are afraid, never seen this fear. Me too, they are afraid. They were never afraid like this in the USSR, let me tell you. I'm not just comparing with Russia, Russian times. I'm comparing with an old country when things were hitting the fan, you know. No, they were not afraid. They were not feared, and they are now. Simon X Machina 2. You have so much, thank you so much for your good words. Thank you. Oh, you know what they've done in the past 2 days, yesterday and today? They've actually stopped all the trucks, and I'm going to talk about it on Friday too. They've stopped all the trucks that are in Russia. And every single truck is being thoroughly checked. Well, it's kind of too late, you know, and I'm pretty sure that they will not find anything in the trucks anymore, because the Ukrainians have done what they wanted to do and out of Russia, you know. But now they've grounded every single truck and searching, and there are traffic jams. You know, there are lots of trucks, they travel from the east of Russia, where lots of war factories and, you know, just regular factories, to the west of Russia, where the population is and the army is. And all the traffic, all the transporting has been paralyzed. Simochrophobia, I don't know what it is. Konstantin Dichev. Happy name day. What's the happy name day? North London forever, Steve. I don't understand how YouTube can demonetize your channel. I watch your channel and you don't show videos like many channels of groups getting blown up. How come they're not demonetized? Steve London. Well, first of all, Steve, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for good words. Well, let me tell you something. I don't think they demonetized me for graphic content. Certainly not. I don't have any. They have demonetized me because I believe that Google is acting on orders from Russian government. It does that. Perhaps not officially, but perhaps there are bad players inside Google. It's been infiltrated by Russian agents that influence Google from inside. I contacted quite a few people inside Google, and a few of them looked at my case, and everyone is puzzled. Everyone said that nothing they could do because Google shows my channel as monetized inside their system, and I am not monetized. They demonetized. The Google demonetized me itself, you know. So that's all I have to say. And it hurts, you know, Steve, it hurts. Google is the only means of living for me. Well, it was, and well, there you go. Mon Mon Albano, by the way, Xi Jinping seems to be also under massive pressure internally without any public appearance in public for 11 days. Interesting. I don't follow China that much, but interesting. Putin has been missing, but he does that all the time. Every time there's a critical situation in the country, he's not a leader. You see, he never became the president. He was made the president. He was appointed. And he's not the leader. He's a KGB spy. He's been acting like a KGB spy all along. And when something extraordinary happens, a threat of some kind, just like with Prigozhin, he hides. All Russian officials hide. They are silent. And only the situation clears up, they come out and they're all heroes and then they self praise and all of that. But when the situation is not clear and it can go any way, everyone just keeps silence and hides. Okay? And that's what Putin does. He has not been seen for 2 days. He's the leader of the nation. For goodness sake, he needs to get out in the public and say, hey, such and such, yes, someone made a mistake. We're going to find them, we're going to prosecute, we're going to improve, things like that. But he never does that because he's not the leader. Deborah, maybe the next target is the lines of trucks and cargo awaiting inspection. But why would you just destroy trucks? What for? You need to know what's inside trucks. Could be potatoes, could be wheat, could be children's toys, could be, I don't know. Semiophobia is the fear of trucks. I thought it's funny. Chris, I didn't know that. I didn't know that such fear exists. Luigi De Rossi, the side effect is the logistics get paralyzed. It has happened. They have gotten paralyzed now, yes. And that contributes to the chaos and mess. Friends, you should see the numbers that they just came out of Russian economy. Every week it gets worse and worse. I'm gonna rename the economic tsunami into the economic super tsunami because it's even worse than I initially expected. Denise Abbott, why the Russian dude still gets money? Seen far more on his channel. Well, ask Google and ask the Russian dude. I don't know. Okay, friends, we're getting to the limit. Mel Nell, is Russia still out of potatoes? Russia is not out of potatoes. They are getting large quantities from uh, Pakistan and Egypt. But the problem is the prices are skyrocket. They're around from 100 to 160 rubles now. They're simply not affordable. It looks like Russia's expected summer offensive has gotten some disturbances. Yes, it sure does look like that way. Exploring YouTube. Per Haglin, howdy. A couple more questions and we'll wrap it up. Uh, Thank you a million. Now we know what is the Patreon number for buying you some tea. Thank you, Evergel. The links to my Patreon account are down below. After I end this live stream, and any live stream, I put a pinned comment with description, the links to Patreon, PayPal, Buy Me Coffee, and crypto wallet of USDT, US, how do you call it? Tether, like digital dollar. Joe McMahon, good to see you. Thank you. Mel Nell, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Leitmotiv, the last question I'm taking today is from Leitmotiv. Do Russians regard all Ukrainian strikes on military targets as terrorism? It seems like that seems like tit for tat to me. And you're absolutely right. On both occasions. Yes, they do regard all Ukrainian strikes on military targets as terrorism. And you are right, it's tit for tat. I mean, what are Ukrainians supposed to do? They're supposed to surrender, say, hey, take our country. Russia invaded. Russia sent troops into Ukraine. Russia has been hitting Ukraine with missiles, razing Ukrainian cities. Somehow, Russia thinks that, and it's the leadership alike and people alike, they think that Ukrainians have no right to defend themselves. Every single time they shoot, they hit a target, it's an act of terrorism because they're Nazis, they're terrorists. I don't understand this logic. I don't think anyone with a normal brain does. I don't know how to answer your question. I don't know how to explain why they're doing it. It still beats me. But yes, they do regard all strikes as terrorism. Yet when they strike military targets, infrastructure, apartment blocks, that's not considered terrorism. That's a special military operation, And that saddens me a lot. Russia that I knew wasn't like that. Russians I knew, I should say, not Russia, but Russians. The people I knew weren't like that. Or perhaps it was me. Naive, stupid, with bright filters in my eyes or whatever, rosy filters. Perhaps it was me, I don't know. But I remember very different reality in Russia, where people were more or less normal, had common sense. We got along great with the Ukrainians. A lot of Ukrainians came to work and do business in Russia with Russians, and we did the same. We went to Ukraine, never had any problems. I spent 1 year in Ukraine, still have many friends. They still keep their normalcy. They still have common sense, But unfortunately, most Russians have lost it. This is it for today, friends. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to deliver my message. Thank you for coming, for watching, for liking. Please like now if you haven't done so. I invite everyone who is in a live stream chat, 7,400 people, to pray along with me. If you're religious, please do. If you're not religious, do me a favor. Just join me, and you can call it whatever you like. Sending good wishes to people, sending good energy, good vibes to the universe, to people. It doesn't matter. To me, it's the same. So please join me in prayer. Let's do it. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so very much for this day. Thank you for the food you've given us on our tables, for roofs you've given over our heads. Thank you for the loved ones that you surrounded us with. Thank you for our families and children. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful. Give us wisdom to raise our children so when they grow up, they will not fight in any wars and will make this world a better place. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, I am asking for Ukraine. Please help stop the bloodshed. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of those who are responsible and capable of making this decision. Wake them up. Fill their hearts with love, mercy, empathy, remorse, and forgiveness. So they become human beings again and make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected, answer their prayers, and make their wishes come true. I'm also asking for my country, Russia. I'm asking you to assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords into a heavenly army and have Saint Michael in shining armors lead that army and come down to this earth to get rid of the demons who we know by their names and by their faces, who have hijacked my country. Please have your heavenly army come and rescue us. Send your angels to help good Russian people to run Russia, run the country, so it becomes loving, peaceful, and respecting. Dear Lord, I'm asking you to help all those who are traveling, send them safe travels. Help those who are in danger right now, in high waters, in dire straits. Send safety. Please help those who are applying for asylum, running away from evil. Send good people their way. And help those who are those single mothers and fathers who are struggling raising their children, trying to make ends meet. Send them help. Please help all those who are helping Ukrainians and help Ukrainians who are currently under attacks from Russian weapons. Send them safety. Make everyone safe. Dear Lord, I'm asking you to help all who are suffering, who are in need of your help, the sick, the addicted, the hungry, the cold, the homeless, the jobless, the depressed, the ones who are losing their faith, the ones who are going through divorce, the ones who are betrayed, the ones who are getting separated with their children, the ones who are, they just lost meaning of life and they don't want to live any longer. Those who are crying, those whose hearts are bleeding, please reach out and touch the hearts and souls of every single person who's in need. Show all the people in need that you are still with them. You have not left them. You still love them. You are still right next to them, watching every step that they take and helping them in the way they just don't realize. Please help everyone who is in need, dear Lord. Thank you so much for allowing us to come together and pray here. Thank you for everyone who is praying along or simply watching us pray. Thank you. Please answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. I am asking for some people who need your help. They are Greg. Please send recovery and strength to Greg and his family. Ron Bazoid, Teresa D., Karsten, Janice Burgess, Ross, Halbert Bronicky, Daniela Fromm and her family, Lee and Brenda, Uli Yun, Ann Larson and Hannah, Jeffrey S. and his family, Katharina Holm, Mark, Tom W., J.R. McKim, Gabing with Gary, Lisa, Harry, Terry, John, Linda, Paula W., Dennis, Jason, Susie Mailer, Tim Mayers, Dory, Rhonda, John, Taylor, Wayne, Darla, George Ruberty, Pamela, Meta, David Porter, his family, and everyone who is in Chernovtsi, Leif, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Yelena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Sergey, Liz, Ron, Liz, Koshkin Dom, Sandra, Petra Olson, Joseph, Melissa, Jodes, Millie, Philip, Eileen, Highwayman, Victor, Jeff Gibson, Derek Martinez, Denise Abbott, and Renate. Thank you very much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for giving me a chance to deliver this important message. Please come back tomorrow for another message. Tune in to Patreon of Inside Russia for daily snippets. And it's just fantastic to be here and be a part of this community. Thank you so much. I will see you all tomorrow, but before I sign off, as usual, I am asking you to say along with me, as loud as you can, the following. Carthago delenda est.